is TOS Television, your digital-first Pan-African news network. I am Abigail Okmade, and this is Africa Now. If the potential of Africa's thriving film industry was fully exploited, it could create many millions of extra jobs, the United Nations on Tuesday said. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, in a report said that an estimated 5 million people currently work in Africa's film industry, which contributes $5 billion to the continent's GDP. The sector could create over 20 million jobs and contribute $20 billion to the continent's combined GDP if the challenges of piracy, lack of freedom of expression, and more were fully addressed, UNESCO said. Chad's transitional parliament inaugurated all 93 members on Tuesday that were appointed at the end of September by junta leader Mahamat Idris Deby Itno. None of the deputies designated by the junta leader come from Wakitama, a platform of opposition and civil society parties calling for civilian rule. General Mahamat Deby proclaimed himself head of state at the head of a military transitional council composed of 14 other generals loyal to his father. Mali summoned France's ambassador on Tuesday to express its authorities' indignation and disapproval and protest against comments made by French President Emmanuel Macron on the country's military-dominated government. Tensions between France and its former colony Mali have been high since it emerged that the Sahel state is in talks with Russian mercenaries. Mali's minister called on the French authorities to show restraint and avoid value judgments, a statement by the foreign ministry says, adding that Mali wanted a constructive approach based on mutual respect. And a speech by Cameroonian Prime Minister Dion Ngute on Tuesday during a visit to the capital of the restive northwest region that separatists had vowed to disrupt was interrupted midway by a distant machine gun fire. Northwest is one of two regions where English-speaking secessionists seeking to form a state called Ambazonia have been battling government forces over perceived marginalization by Cameroon's French-speaking majority. Ahead of Ngute's visit to Bamenda, the so-called Ambazonian Defense Forces ordered residents to stay at home, saying that anyone participating in meetings with Ngute did so at their own risk. Southern Africa Regional Bloc SADC in a communique says it agreed at a summit in South Africa to extend the troop deployment in Mozambique to help the government fight an Islamic State-linked insurgency. Southern African nations agreed in June to send troops to help Mozambique respond to the insurgency, which is concentrated in the northern province of Cabo Delgado and has proclaimed thousands of lives since its beginning in 2017. The SADC troop deployment was initially for 3 months and due to end on October 15. The communique did not state how long the extension was approved for. And this is your digital-first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. You are watching Africa Now. Business stories and more coming your way after the break. Just stay tuned. Welcome back in business. Kenya's parliament has directed the Treasury to offer motorists 18.1 billion shillings compensation for diverting fuel subsidy cash to the Chinese firm operating the standard gauge railway. The National Assembly's Finance Committee wants the Treasury to use the 18.1 billion shillings to reinstate fuel subsidy that was introduced in April and discontinued last month, sending fuel prices to the highest level in Kenya's history. The increased price of petrol by 7.58 a litre in Nairobi to 134.72 shillings, while diesel jumped from 7.94 shillings to 1,115.6 shillings a litre, the highest in Kenya's history. South Africa's biggest metal workers union on Tuesday launched an indefinite strike seeking pay rises and threatening to block supplies of parts to make new cars and accessories, industry and union officials said. With approximately 155,000 members organized in the sector, the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa on Tuesday called for a total shutdown of the engineering industry, after which talks with employer bodies reached a deadlock and arbitration failed. Fearing the impact of the strike strike the country's auto industry is urging parties to speedily resolve the impasse and prevent long-term damage and possible line stoppages to vehicles being assembled in South Africa and abroad. And moving away from business to education, Rwanda's Ministry of Education has added 5 teaching hours to the weekly timetables of all primary and secondary schools in a policy shift it said was designed to fix the learning gaps caused by the disruptions of coronavirus. The coronavirus pandemic has devastated the education sector, bringing about prolonged closures of schools as the government suspended physical learning in order to deal with the virus spread. The new program, termed as remedial teaching, is also part of the government's plan to help students who failed the national exams catch up with their studies, the Ministry of Education announced on Tuesday. And on climate change, the International Committee of Red Cross is warning that the climate crisis is making an already dire situation made worse in Mali, considered one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change. Water is becoming a dwindling precious resource in the country that consists mainly of desert and semi-deserts, with very little water left in parts of Lake Fabiguini. This is causing herders lose their livestock as they travel further in search of water and food. And with grazing land becoming scarce, conflict is commonplace between the herders and farmers. And a military helicopter crashed in Gabes in southeastern Tunisia, killing 3 soldiers, state media said on Tuesday. The incident happened during a military exercise at night, the state news media agency said, citing a Ministry of Defense spokesperson. A military technical team was sent to the scene to determine the cause of the crash, the spokesperson was quoted as saying. And that is it on Africa Now. For more updates, to visit our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. Follow us and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. To stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. I am Abigail Okwade. Thanks for watching.